Hello, everyone, one more video. And today we're going to tell a story, one that a listener sent me. Well, let's begin. I used to work at a hotel in Australia. At the time, I was 33 years old and married to Jessica, who was 28. We had 2 children, a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. I was a purchasing analyst at the hotel, and my wife worked at the front desk. We had a very peaceful marriage and a comfortable life. We weren't rich, but we had everything we needed. Our families got along very well. We were about to complete 9 years together when, suddenly, Jessica started acting strange. Our work schedules and days off were complicated, and we couldn't always have our time off together. It was even more difficult for Jessica because she was the only one at the front desk who spoke fluent German, which made her very much in demand with foreign tourists. Sometimes, she would even work a double shift. Jessica, who is of German descent, is blonde, has blue eyes, and is a very beautiful woman. I was already used to the come-ons she received, but I was always very insecure. Modesty aside, I am also a very handsome guy, 6 feet 1 inch tall, blonde, and with green eyes. In our youth, we were known as the Barbie and Ken couple, a perfect couple, as people used to say. I also got a lot of come-ons, but I never let myself get carried away. Jessica was enough for me, and I was always faithful to her. After about 2 months of noticing her mood changes and the emotional distance, I found out why. She called me to talk and said, "Augusto, you know I love you very much. But I've never hidden the fact that I've always wanted to see France. And a job opportunity came up there. I really want to go. Unfortunately, I can't take you with me." I got very nervous and said, "Jessica, have you gone crazy? What about our children?" She replied that she trusted me and that, in the beginning, it would only be for 3 months. After a lot of reluctance, I saw that there was no way around it and ended up accepting, thinking that it would just be a work trip. 3 months after Jessica moved, I called her and she told me she needed 2 more months. Our children cried for her every day. I told her that if she didn't come back, she didn't have to come back ever again. That's when she told me she needed time to think. Apparently, she had liked the life she was leading and didn't want to go back to Australia anytime soon. That's when it hit me. I went to one of her friends and started pressuring her. My children were crying constantly, they missed their mom. And the friend came clean. A guest at the hotel was always sending Jessica notes and inviting her to visit his house in France. Right then, I sent a message to Jessica telling her to stay there, because she was no longer welcome at home, and I asked for a divorce. She still tried to argue with some silly philosophical talk. I just said that I no longer cared what she was doing or with whom. I asked her to accept the divorce and give up custody of our children, or I would take them to her so she could take care of them. It was obvious that she didn't want to be with the kids, as it would get in the way of her teenage romance. She was still reluctant, but after I talked to my in-laws, she ended up accepting. And 2 years went by. 2 years that my wife abandoned her children and husband to live a relationship with a stranger. It was a very difficult 2 years for me. My son, now 9, and my daughter, 7, barely remembered their mother. Jessica's parents helped me a lot and were just as outraged as I was. We moved on. During that time, Jessica would even call the children, but it did more harm than good, and she ended up stopping the calls. Another year passed. I left the hotel where I worked and got a new position as a purchasing manager at another one. This was great, not only for the salary but also for getting away from a place that brought back so many memories of Jessica. My children were already grown, and I started dedicating more time to myself. I started going to the gym and even met someone. I remember setting up a date with this girl I met at the gym. I left my children with my ex-mother-in-law and arranged to pick them up the next day. When I went to get them, I was startled. Jessica was there. She greeted me awkwardly, with a haggard face, weighing about 55 pounds more, and with a child of just over 1 year in her arms. It had been 3.5 years since I had seen Jessica, and she was very different. We spoke very little. I avoided talking to her. She asked to keep the children for a little longer, and I ended up agreeing to pick them up the next day. When I returned, my mother-in-law came to talk to me. She said that Jessica had asked to move back in with her and had given up on returning to France. Jessica claimed that her husband was possessive, wouldn't let her work, and was also cheating on her. According to my ex-mother-in-law, Jessica had to lie, saying her father was very sick and in mortal danger, in order to come back. When my mother-in-law started to give more details, I stopped her and said, "Ms. Yolanda, you have helped me a lot and you still do. But I don't want to know anything else about Jessica. My children will continue to live with me, okay? Just let her know." My children would even talk to Jessica, but they treated her like a distant aunt. I think that was the biggest punishment she could have had. They had more closeness with their grandmother than with their own mother. The next day, I went to my ex-mother-in-law's house to pick up the kids. Jessica saw my girlfriend, and defeat was stamped all over her face. I was 37, Jessica was about to turn 33, and my girlfriend, at 27, was much younger and more beautiful than her. As I was leaving, Jessica still said, Wow, Augusto, your girlfriend is so cool. She's not jealous of you coming here, is she? I just laughed and replied, jealous of what? She frowned and went inside. After that day, she even stopped greeting me and started to get annoyed because my children only went there because of their grandmother, they didn't care about her. A few months later, I ended my relationship. I did like my girlfriend, but she wanted a commitment. She wanted to get married and have children. That was her dream, and I wasn't going to get into that mess again. When Jessica found out I was single, she started making excuses to talk to me. She called me saying she had found a new job at a tourism agency in town and that she could now help me with the children. I was short and sharp with her. I told her she could buy presents, clothes, and do whatever she wanted for the children, but I hadn't needed her before and I didn't need her now. For months, she tried to get close to me again, started going to church, and came to me with some talk about family restoration. That day I got annoyed with her talk, so I said, Jessica, if you're circling me again, hoping that something will happen, that our family will be restored, you can forget it. My family is just me and my children. You abandoned us to live a teenage romance, and now you come with this conversation. She said she was going back to France, and I replied that I would even buy her ticket. She frowned and left. About 3 months passed. She saw that it wouldn't lead anywhere and went back to France. From what I've heard, she's still with the jealous and possessive guy to this day, and I believe that's her karma. For those of you who have stayed until the end, please leave a like. If you have a story and want to send it in, the link is in the description. Consider getting the ebook Antifragile, the true manual for the modern, high-value man. Link in the description and QR code. See you in the next video. Onward, warriors.